My name is Lauren Green, and welcome to Youth News, the place for the next generation to share their opinions on the hot topics affecting their everyday lives. With me, I'm joined by Omar, and remotely, we have Ifyok from Colombia. So race is a concept that undoubtedly affects how people view each other and the world. What does everyone think when they hear the word race?
Well, it's been said before, I think race is a social construct. I feel like over time we felt the need to put people into groups, put people into boxes based on their physical attributes or their cultures in order to sort of create that divide. And then we've had people take advantage of that divide, hence racism. But I feel like that's just a very basic definition of what I feel race could have. But yeah, what about you, Ifyok? What do you feel?
Well, I would say just bouncing off of what you said, in definitely when it comes to talking about race, it is something that I would say from my time traveling around the world, seeing that an American thing, seeing that when I'm outside the states, I'm seen as American. Yeah, they might say, "Oh, he's black or whatever, he's white or Asian," but I'm seen as American. So around the world, it's more broken apart in when it comes to ethnicities instead. So I do believe race is something that society, at least in American society, we've built up and we've put on a pedestal for way too long.
I agree because I didn't know this up until a few years ago when I took anthropology during my freshman year of college. But you're right. So
Yeah.
race is more of a social construct that society has created to divide people into different groups based on, skin color,
Hmm.
hair texture, eye shape. And we have a common misconception called racial common sense, which is this false notion that you can automatically determine someone's racial, cultural, or ethnic background just by looking at them.
Right.
And that, like, in turn, like, as I'm sure, like, I'm not sure if you've experienced this before, but I've had people tell me when I was younger, oh, you talk white, or I thought you were biracial because of the way you speak. And it falls under that category based on
Yeah.
those stereotypes.
Yeah, it's very hard for in the past it's been very hard for people to be like, "Oh, you're so well spoken." Instead it's like you're this for an Arab guy or you're this for insert minority here. It's very strange how people want to put us into boxes and then judge us when we step out of those boxes. I know others face it more harshly than I. I'm a fairly skinned Arab, so um, I feel like it's gotten me further in life than the dark skinned counterparts. And that's just the reality that we live in, unfortunately. And there's racism everywhere. I like what you said about racism being or you being seen as American when you travel. And I feel like the reason why it's so predominant in these areas that are so predominantly white is because in the past it was our race, we were exploited for our race. We were exploited because the hierarchy was developed based on race, and um, and I feel
I
like
think,
it's only getting
yeah,
better.
yeah,
Um,
I agree. I agree with that. I think tossing it to, well, just piggybacking off of what you said, where it's just about division, and I believe that is a deeper sense of what why we always why I would say race is a big topic inside, especially
yeah.
America today, when it comes to, if you look at some of the history that talks about slaves versus indentured servants, some countries that when they had slavery and they had indentured servants, they actually went through and separated them because there were times whenever those indentured servants and those darker skinned slaves would come together and they would fight against their oppressors. So,
Hmm.
seeing this, those in power decided to split them apart, doing different kinds of codes so that they couldn't stay with each other, intermarry, because from the beginning of time, those in power have always understood that unity prevents people from being taken advantage of. And when there is unity, there is a lack of tyranny. So I believe it's a way deeper thing that in America today, modern day America today, we're seeing that more and more and more where they're pitting us against each other. Oh, they're evil because they're white, or they're dangerous because they're black, or they're we should be afraid because they're Arab, or they're kind of go over here and take away everything from us because they're Hispanic. it's a way for those at the top to pretty much divide us and stop us from coming together. Because the
Mhm.
more together that we are, the more that we can grow and the better that we can develop our country as a more homogenous, a more almost utopia like.
That's
But because
right.
that's not in the best favor of those in power, and it takes away their ability to siphon money from everyday people, then they're going to go constantly go through and point fingers at those that are pretty much are essentially our neighbors, instead of allowing us to point fingers at the true people that are causing our issues, and it's those that want to pit us against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely there's progress being made, and I appreciate that because, in the past couple dozen decades more, um, it is now, as of now, in this moment, it is the best time to be a person of culture in our modern day world, because we're constantly having these epiphanies and constantly, taking these major strides towards equality and racial equity and all of these things that we deemed unachievable in the past. Um, I think we still have a ways to go, but it's definitely attainable. And eventually, I don't like when people say I don't see color.
Oh yeah, that bugs
No,
me so much.
like, yeah, not to quote her, the artist, but like, see color, see us, Don't say I don't see color, because it's important to see color, and it's important to note the the different opportunities that could be achieved by each person from each color. Um, I don't know.
But yeah, you're right. And I think it's okay. I think like the reason why, a big reason why racism has been perpetuated for so long is because, we don't know each other. We've been so divided and it's not taught in schools. And that's where I think it should start if it's not being taught at home. We should be educated on our different backgrounds and like our heritage, because we have all made meaningful contributions to the country and to the world in general. And I think until we really realize that, we're not going to come together as we should.
Yeah, and honestly, to know one more important thing, I feel like a big part of it also is exposure. A lot of people aren't exposed to other cultures due to, let's say, systemic racism. And that systemic racism is a byproduct of generations worth of racism in the past. So if you keep these people separate, if you keep them divided, if you increase that divide, they're not going to be exposed to each other. How are they going to learn to coexist?
I think that's a great place to close. What comes to your mind when you think about race? Sound off in the comments.